What might have been written by algae father anthracite. The man sits in a chair. An identical chair sits next to his. This one empty. The room is white, but featureless except for a door. It's just off to the side of the chairs. The door's open, and a young man walks in. He's wearing a military uniform. He looks a little confused. I'm a little lost. Can you help me? The seated man waves him over. Come in, have a seat. The young soldier walks in and sits. I was just with my squad, and it was a flash, and I gotta get back to my guys. Your friends are okay, but you, I'm afraid to say, didn't make it. The man parts his shoulders. The soldier slumps a little. I was afraid of that. Glad the guys are okay, though. He musters a half a smile to show his gratitude for the news about his friends. What is this place? He asks, looking around the plain white room. This is a little reward. You were a good kid, and there's a whole new life waiting for you. But first, we get to see what this life could have been. The man nods towards the wall in front of the chairs, and, like a movie, scenes play out from a future that'll never come to pass. The soldier, now dressed in civilian clothes, appears on the projection. He stands hand in hand with a woman, and they pose in front of a small suburban home. The image flickers like an old-time film reel. The couple are now posing for the child. There is another flicker, and the soldier, now dressed in a suit, poses in front of the store with a grand opening sign in the window. A toddler hugs his leg, and his wife has her arm linked in his. Another flicker, another image. They play out like a timeline. A second child, the family in front of a larger house. A second grand opening, the family on a road trip. The kids, all grown up, getting married, having kids of their own. He and his wife on a tour of the world. More store openings, bigger houses, larger and larger family gatherings. One last flicker, one last image. A tombstone. Beloved husband and father. In the room, the man sits in a chair next to the soldier. The soldier, face covered in tears, watches as the images slowly fade out. It would have been a good life, the soldier says. Yes, it would have been. Thanks, the soldier said, and leaves through the door. The man sits in his chair. The door opens and a little girl walks in. She wears a cute little flower dress and a big floppy hat. She walks over to the man, and he helps lift her into the chair. Do you know where you are? The man asks. I remember from before. I wasn't down there for very long this time, the little girl says. She sounds a little sad. No, you weren't. But you were a very good girl. Are you ready? The man says. She falls off her floppy hat and lays it across her lap. She nods. The slideshow begins. The girl is now making friends, finishing school. She goes to college, finishes again. She's in a white coat, looking into a microscope. She's wearing a white suit, marrying a beautiful woman. She's standing on a podium accepting an award. She stands in front of a mantel adorned with pictures of family and awards next to her wife. Her hair is grey. Her skin is wrinkled, especially around the eyes. The images fade out. It would have been fun, wouldn't it? She puts her hat back on and stands up. She looks into the man's face. Yes, but your next one's fun too, he says. She smiles at him and waves as she heads out the door. The man sits in his chair. The door opens, and a woman comes in. She is withdrawn, her shoulders hunched, her head tilted down. The man waves her over, pats the empty chair to indicate she should sit. You've been through a lot, too much, really, he says to her as she sits. The woman is inaudible. No, it wasn't your fault. None of this was your fault. The man leans in a little closer. You were magnificent. It's just that no one could see that. You were being kept from the world. Had they seen you, you would have shone so brightly. The woman looks up a little. Let's watch, shall we? He points to the wall, where images flicker to life. The images show the woman hunched over a small child. She cradled the infant, held right to her chest. Her body is shaking, but she makes her way out a door, into the darkness of the night. A few doors down, a car is waiting. She climbs in and shuts the door. Only when the car is out of the neighborhood does she relax. She's in a park, playing with a little girl. She's wearing scrubs, helping patients and doctors in an ER. She watches the girl cross the stage and receive a diploma while wearing a white doctor's coat. Her eyes tear up. Her breath catches on her throat. The woman in the chair sits taller, and her head up, her shoulders no longer hunched. Does she still become a doctor? Oh, yes. She never forgets what you did for her. She reads your letter 1,000 times. She knows how loved she is. She saves so many lives. The woman stands tall, tears flowing from her eyes. She smiles and laughs a little. If you like, you can wait to meet her. The man stands and offers her a white cotton handkerchief. Yes, please, the woman says, dabbing at her eyes. Her face, that peculiar combination of smile and tears that only humans had ever managed to pull off. The man gestures to the door, and the woman leaves. The man sits again. The door opens. End of story. Story number 2. Never Attack the Terran Space Trucks, written by Feck, 1986. Captain Ulgum was smiling as he finally saw a prey worth taking, a Terran space truck. They were notorious for being filled with enormous amounts of precious cargo. This truck was looking even better, because the last galactic year he was having a horrible time raiding ships. Either what he got was worth barely anything, or the transports were too well protected. So he mostly went after civilian vessels from other species. He sold said civilians to a shadow company from his kind's government, the Huriki Coalition. There they would be bred and become livestock. The Galactic Council had been trying to put a stop to it, but had trouble since the Coalition was bigger and stronger than any other species out there. They would need to attack them with a 10-to-1 in their favor to even make a chance. But we breed way faster than any other species, even with our big size, meaning there was nothing they could do for the coming centuries. But that's not something Ulgrim cared about at the moment. He had a spaceship to steal his cargo from, and by the looks of it, it would be a jackpot. A single spaceship hauling so many containers that it was nearly 10 kilometers long. He smelled salivating at the thought that he probably could buy a planet if it was completely filled, or if it was barely filled, he could buy a dozen ships or so. Attention, trucker. This is Captain Ulgrim of the Vile, of the pirate ship the Bone Gnashes. Unhook your cargo and then get out of here. If you are lucky, I might only turn you into a moving target for my ship's weapon systems, he said as the deep low rumbling came from his throat, meaning to intimidate others from getting funny ideas. Normally, any other ship would unhook and race off, hoping to escape said weapon systems. But the ship opened a comm channel with his ship. Ulgrim looked confused as the screen turned on its own. The Terran was very thin and lanky man. He had a very white and frazzled beard, and barely hidden by the beard, he could see the Terran's mouth was missing some teeth. The Terran was wearing what the AI identified as a cotton overalls and a reed hat on his head. Well, gosh darn it, the darn gators have gone to space to get the rest of old Cletus. You first got that damn leg, Cletus said as he lifted his left leg, which ended just below the knee. And now you're here for the rest. Once you had a taste of old Cletus, you can't stop. A loud, pitched cackle came from the Terran. Ulgrim was confused at best, as he never had anyone react like this. But before he could say anything, Cletus kept on talking. Hot diggity damn, you're bigging, ain't you? My scanners say you're bigger than old Daisy Hell. Pop struck before he crashed it. While Cletus was talking, that he was pushing all kinds of buttons, pulling levers, and among one of them must have been a scanner. Otherwise the Terran couldn't have known how big Ulgrim was. Normally, knowing the size of his kind, the Huriki, would be enough to scare anyone into submission. But this Terran wasn't even fazed by it. No, he seemed to be excited because of it. Ma! Oi! Ma! Can you hear me? Found something good! Not long after, another broadcast popped up, and the very elderly Terran woman, wearing what looked like a flower-patterned dress, and a hairstyle that looked like some nest of some vermin. What in the gosh darn damnation, Cletus? You're gonna wake up your old pa from his nap now. What you hooting and tooting about? The older Terran Ma lifted up some glasses and squinted at the screen. As I live and breathe, that's one gosh darn big gator. I'm now hankering for some barbecue. You better bring him and his pals home. I can't, Ma. I'm doing the moonshine run, and all I's got is my old pea shooters. Cletus rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. Ma shook her head in disappointment. Damnation, you foolish boy. I told you many times to always bring your irons when you're going for a moonshine run. Fine. I'll call your cuz Billy Bob to lend you a hand, and reckon he's in a neighborhood. Just use your pea shooters to keep him busy till he arrives. Ma disappeared from the comm channel. Algon wasn't even sure how she even was able to appear on his screen. Alarms were going ballistic all of a sudden, as the AI suddenly noticed some of the cargo containers open up. Out of them came an unholy abomination of a railgun that seemed to be held together with duct tape and good wishes. For the first time in a long time, Algon felt fear. "Here, Ma, you're invited for barbecue. And you're the main course," Cletus laughed in a loud cackle as he pressed buttons. Everything around the Bone Gnasher started to light up as the railguns opened fire. End of recording. Bone Gnasher Aftermath. Recording was recovered from the remains of the Bone Gnashers after the Galactic Council security forces received a distress signal, now used in training cadets when interacting with independent Terran civilian worlds. Start recording. Harugi investigation in Terran world L0U1S14N4. This is Agent Karug of the Council Investigation Force. The agency started to hear rumors coming from the Terran civilian world about Harugi Coalition citizens being on the planet. After the surprising purge of all the Harugi Coalition worlds, which decreased their population by at least 90%, but which allowed galactic councils to liberate all species that had been turned into livestock, Agent Karuk said as he walked over a muddy path towards some ramshackle homes made of wood. "Bloody gosh darn it, one of them grey bastards bet you they're here to probe them cows." Agent Karuk never understood why Terran said that his kind would probe cows. The only answer he ever got is that they apparently looked very close to how Terran media thought aliens looked like. If he remembers correctly, they called us the Greys. "Good evening, I am Agent Karuk from the Galactic Council, working for the Council Investigation Force. I'm here because there are reports of illegal Harugi people being on this planet," Agent Kazuruk said as he flashed his badge. "Harugi? Never heard of them folks in my life. Hey, have you heard of them, Jimmy Bob?" "Can't say that I've ever have, Otis. Maybe Ma knows Ma. Let me call her for you." Before Agent Kazuruk could reply, a loud and shrill scream came from Jimmy Bob. "Ma! Some grey guy is here for you." An elderly female Terran walked in a brisk pace from the house, wearing a flowery dress and some glasses. "You're the Grey, what you want?" Agent Kazuruk explained once more why he was there, and the elderly woman called Ma round. "You sure about this? You don't remember seeing any of them Harugi, just us and them gators." Just at that moment, Agent Kazuruk saw a movement to his side and quickly turned towards the source. It's a Harugi, who was up to his lower body in swamp water, butt naked. "Please, I beg of you. I just want to go home." Agent Kazuruk never knew the Harugi could look sad, and this one looked like he was devastated. Agent Kazuruk turned towards the Terrans, not looking amused at all. "I thought you said there were no Harugi on the planet." "Then what do you call that?" he asked firmly while pointing at the Harugi. "But that no Harugi, that's a gator," the Terran elderly woman said as she crossed her arms, not impressed with his serious demeanor. "Please, I just want to go home," the Harugi said softly. "Shut your trap and make love into sweet old Daisy. She wants a nice clutch of gator babies." In the distance, a loud rumbling sound could be heard that Agent Kazuruk's AI identified as horny alligator noises. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.